Hey everybody, it's James Muller and we are here to discuss distance learning and online learning, the history, the distinctions, and the future. Now, distance learning is exactly what it sounds like. It's learning from a distance. I was on a 2-year mission tour during college and my roommate kept getting parcels from the US Post Office that had textbooks and pamphlets and even tests and quizzes in it, and he would compile all of that information according to the syllabus and then put all that back in the mail and send it to the university. Remember, this is 1985. There was no internet. But that's how he earned his higher education degree, through distance. He did not go to a brick and mortar school. He didn't have a physical teacher in front of him. Online learning is similar in some ways in that you don't go to school to a building, but you go to school online, on the web. Everything's available digitally. The learning management systems, your resources, your discussion boards, all of those things appear in the venue that you need, and you use the protocol from your facilitator to do all of your assignments. They're similar but different. Think of it this way. You know how thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs? It's kind of the same thing. Online is distance learning, usually, but distance learning isn't always online. And yes, we do have online work that I do with my high school students in my brick and mortar school, in my physical classroom, with me in front of them. But for higher education, the online degree has gained so much foundational validity over the years. And now we're in an arena, in a time where gaining that master's degree online is quite the coup, not only for the adult student, but for the impact it has on his or her life. Now, the history of all of this goes back to the time when a gentleman named Caleb Phillips, who is credited with being the first person to perpetuate a correspondence course in shorthand, believe it or not. But it wasn't until a little bit later, when the post office really took off, that this became de rigueur for all the folks who wanted to gain a degree and not actually have to go to college. So that's how all that turns out. Caleb Phillips came around the 1720s, and then the post office came about 100 years later to make that all work. So that's the history. Now, radio and television have also tried to jump in on this distance learning thing. Have you ever all watched Sesame Street, right? You didn't have to go to school, but you could learn from your home. But nothing's had the impact as correspondence courses did back in the day, and that online learning is having now. Of course, it's important to implement best practices ideology into your online instruction. Make sure all of your directions are clear and explained. Make sure all of the elements of the learning management system or the digital platform function. There's nothing more frustrating for an adult to get into something that they've invested time, money, and life changes for, to have there be stumbling blocks. It's simply unnecessary. And with a little bit of forethought from a facilitator, that's you can make sure that everything's going smoothly. Speaking of technology, a lot of the adults might be a little bit uncomfortable. Make sure that you employ a best practice, that you have an opportunity to train them in the technology. They know how to submit. They know where the APA information is. All of that information is so vital to their having an amenable kind of journey with you. The easier you make it, the more they succeed. The more they succeed, the more they want to learn. And probably one of the most important best practice ideas is to put in the idea of applicability to life. Make a real world connection between your lessons and even your approach to the students in your classrooms having an opportunity to employ this in their real life. Make it connected to what's really happening to them in a real and pragmatic way. If it's too esoteric, if it's too dramatic, too ethereal, they're not going to get it. They're going to lose interest pretty quickly. So employ those best practices. The future of online learning and distance learning is pretty exciting and maybe a little scary. There's a big push to move AI and VR, virtual reality and augmented reality, to the forefront. We can put on those goggles like you see the kids wear for those games. Now, the cool thing about that is they could create an environment for kids who might be marginalized, who have kind of a set of issues that keeps them from succeeding and thriving in a normal classroom or even in an online classroom. Think about it. In an AI environment or a virtual reality or augmented reality environment, you can totally dictate what the kids see. You can make it calmer. You can make it more colorful. You can make it more personal to them. And that's the exciting part. So we'll see where all of this is headed as we move into the future with distance learning and online learning.